We've assembled an expert team for this time-sensitive mission. The goal is simple. Get in, grab the treasure, and get out. Oh, and do your best not to die on the way, because everything is designed to kill you. Good luck. My name is Graeldon, and I'm reviewing Steam games in alphabetical order to find the hidden gems among the piles of garbage, and today's games are One-Screen Platformer and One-Screen Platformer Prologue. Let's begin. This is the first time in a while that we've done a double review, so get yourself settled in because we've got a bit to cover today. Well, not too settled in, because as the name of the games imply, there's only two levels to discuss. One in One-Screen Platformer and one in One-Screen Platformer Prologue. Before we get started though, you might be wondering if anything might get overlooked or lost due to the fact that I'm playing the Prologue after the main game. So for those detail-oriented people, you'll be pleased to know that the Prologue game is actually a demo version of One-Screen Platformer 2, a yet-to-be-released sequel. However, it is a problem I'll have to face if we ever reach the Assassin's Creed games, because as a result of the weird naming conventions, we'll be starting with number 2, then the standalone DLC for Black Flag, Freedom Cry, then number 2 Part 3. So yeah, that'll be interesting. Also, fun fact, no idea why Brotherhood doesn't appear here. Steam is weird sometimes. Anyway, back to today's game. As I said, the titles describe the games pretty perfectly as the entire game takes place on a single screen, but the amount of content they managed to cram in is quite impressive and frankly a little bit intimidating. I'll show you why shortly. The first thing I need to mention is the title screen, because damn, that's how you make an entrance. A gorgeous 2D portrait filling almost half the screen, arcade-style character selection menu with the scrolling text, tribal drums to grab your attention and drive home the fact that this game isn't messing around, and one of the best character names I've seen in a while. Sorry, Larry. Nadia Stormhammer. I know nothing about this person, but I already respect the heck out of them because of the sense of character and the vibes they give off. And it was while I was trying to figure out why I was so enraptured by what amounts to little more than a portrait, that I realized it was because I was basically looking at a clone of Rogue from the X-Men. It's not just me, right? Brown hair, green eyes, strong jawline, red lips, mascara and eyeliner, and a green headband. You've got to admit they look similar. Title screen admired, it's time for a peek at the options menu, which is pretty basic and either oddly or artistically positioned left of center. We've got controls for sound effects and music, a full screen toggle, and that's about it. Not great, but not awful, so let's move on to the game itself. There are 4 characters to choose from, but the game seems to want us to start with Nadia, so let's jump in. One-Screen Platformer is a time attack precision platformer game. There's only one level, but multiple checkpoints, which you will need, because unless you're an exceptional gamer, you're going to die. A lot. When playing as Nadia, you'll need to run, jump, and climb your way to the treasure at the end. You'll be leaping over spike pits, weaving between traps, dodging balls of fire, and running from certain death. And thankfully, not only are the controls super tight, dying also has a near instant respawn. While convenient for reducing downtime and frustration, the respawn speed is almost too fast, as there were times when I died again immediately because I was still holding the direction I was moving when I died the first time, causing poor Nadia to run directly to her death. Sometimes multiple times in a row. Look, my reflexes aren't as sharp as they used to be, but I'm doing my best, okay? And to be fair, I did pretty well, clocking in at a respectable 4 minutes and 58 seconds on my very first attempt, which was 100% blind. Well, I thought it was respectable until I saw the leaderboards, and the top 10 were all around the 1.5 minute mark or less. I also saw that I got a B rank, which upset me enough that I went in again, this time clearing the level in 2 minutes 34 seconds, almost half of my original time, which was enough to bump my rank up to an A. Realizing that I was never going to make the top 10 without hours upon hours of practice, I decided to move on. But I can absolutely see why people have taken the time to figure out the best timings and plot the perfect route. Optimizing something like this and then having the skills to pull it off is pretty impressive, so kudos to anyone that has those skills. I certainly don't, as was proven by my first hard mode attempt. Hard mode uses the same level, but they've optimized the heck out of it, and it's scarily impressive to see. There's basically zero wasted space. The number of obstacles has doubled, if not tripled, compared to normal mode, and everything either moves or shoots faster. The timing on obstacles is much tighter, such as dodging between these flames, these roof-mounted lasers, or trying to slip between the gaps in this wall of bullets. It's no wonder that my first attempt ended in a frankly atrocious 10 minutes and 56 seconds. Yikes, I am not proud of that one. But it was time to move on and try out the other three characters, starting with Vez Rendu, who looks eerily similar to Geordie LaForge from Star Trek, so that's my headcanon now, and you can't convince me otherwise. Now, I wasn't expecting this, but in hindsight, I absolutely should have. The level is exactly the same as before, even including the hard mode. It makes sense when you think about it. When playing as Vez though, you're able to double jump, which makes navigating some tricky areas a little more forgiving. On the flip side, there are now glowing orbs that need to be collected in order to activate a checkpoint, forcing the player to explore less optimal paths than they may have otherwise. It's a nice touch, and it does just enough to shake up the gameplay in an interesting way. Speaking of shaking things up, Subject X95C is the next playable character, and once again introduces a new mechanic that is both clever and extremely frustrating and unlikable. Darkness. The entire level is covered in fog, and you win by clearing all of it. Not gonna lie, this one is a great idea, but it sucks. There is a certain catharsis to be found in having to throw yourself directly into spike pits and pools of lava in order to progress, but this character ultimately ends up becoming more tedious than fun. So let's move on to the final character that manages to improve everything in the best way, by giving you a gun. This is the Unstoppable Gun Miner, and they have a firearm with a limited range that is able to destroy basic blocks. Once again, it's the same level as always, but now you're challenged with reaching all of the checkpoints, but the order is completely up to you, which manages to flip the level design on its head in a really interesting way. And now, onto one-screen platformer Prologue, which is basically the first game, but in space! As mentioned earlier, this is a prequel to the sequel and serves as a demo for Part 2, which is yet to be released. And judging from the original release date of July 2020, I doubt the full release is coming anytime soon. The title screen actually looks less impressive than the first game, with just a simple space background, but at least the visuals are consistently sci-fi themed. The options menu is a little better put together, and the character selection menu is almost identical to the first game. As for the game itself, well, it's pretty much what you would expect. It's another single screen level, but this time much larger and more expansive than the first. It introduces some new mechanics like low gravity areas, cannons that require timed button presses to avoid being sent into the empty void of space, rotating laser beams, crumbling platforms, and more. It's nice to see some progression, but I personally felt as though it didn't achieve enough to really set itself apart from the first game. It was more of a 1.5 than a 2. This isn't helped by the fact that while Nadia has returned, she is the only playable character. Others are featured, and there are more than the 4 from the first game, so perhaps if they were playable, my opinion might change. But Nadia is all we have, and possibly all there ever will be, so that's what I have to critique the game on. It's an interesting situation where the thing that the sequel does the most differently to the first game is the inclusion of a cutscene. It's a nice touch and helps to bring more life to the world of one-screen platformer, but ultimately it appears to be a little more than set dressing. Even the music in Part 1 was given more love and attention than Part 2, with the upbeat and high-intensity electronic music replaced with space ambience. The most frustrating part is that the level design is arguably not as tight either. There is more wasted space than the first game, and the checkpoints are not paced as well. In fact, on my first playthrough, there was one that I managed to miss completely by falling on the wrong side of a divider. Most checkpoints you can backtrack to, but not this one. So my only option was to play through the game again, or had I been paying attention, I could have used the option in the pause menu to teleport to the previous checkpoint and try again, but I didn't spot that until I had already finished the level. If I sound like I've been overly negative here, it's only because I'm comparing the sequel prequel to the excellent first game, but there is a big difference that works in favour of the prologue. It's completely free. So it actually serves as a great way to dip into the series and see if you like the concept before actually purchasing the first game, which currently costs $3.39 Canadian or your regional equivalent. If you're a fan of time attack platformers with precise controls, a high skill ceiling, and solid mechanics, then these are pretty easy games to recommend. However, if you're wanting something with more substance and less repetition, then it's probably best to look elsewhere. Looking specifically at the first game, it does a lot to set the series up for success, so it was a bit of a shame to see the Part 2 Prologue fail to carry the torch onwards. While I doubt it will ever come to light, I do hope that Part 2 releases in its entirety someday, as it will likely also be a solid platformer that many will enjoy, and may even see a speedrunning community develop around it, as that's definitely the target audience. For everyone else, there isn't exactly a lot of motivation, but as with many things in life, it's hard to argue with free. And that's why my final rating for one-screen platformer and one-screen platformer Prologue is a golden skull out of 10. You know you need it and you know it's valuable, but the issue is that you're missing a reason why you should work for it. Thanks for watching. Welcome to the end of the video. A massive thank you to all the channel members on screen for supporting the channel, with a special thank you to our two Knights of the Holy Grail, Freaky Feline and Loveheart Gonzi. If you'd like to join this gaming crusade, you can check out the membership options below for more details. You'll also find a link to some channel stats and our Discord too. Lastly, I wanted to thank you for joining me on this weird gaming adventure through the depths of Steam. If you made it this far, here's a sneak peek of the next game. And until next time, take care.